You're unhappy, Grady. Why?
Billy, you got a kid in there that's got a degree in economics from Yale. You got a scout here with 29 years of baseball experience. You're listening to the wrong one.
Adapt or die.
Love you, die.
Adapt or die.
Love you, die.
Adapt or die.
Love you, die.
Adapt.
Okay, shut up.
Hey, guess what?
What?
I gotta pee.
Hey, are you happy?
No.
If you're not, then why?
I told you, I gotta pee.
If you're not, then why?
We're here to help your life be happier.
Well, wait, I don't got a pee. I actually have 3 pees. Is that better or worse? I'm not sure. Let's talk about it. What's up, Happy Lifer? Thanks for joining us today. We are so happy that you did. We are here to help your life be happier. So like I said, I gotta pee. And then it turned to 3. Guess I waited too long? Well, I want to talk about those 3 P's in this podcast. So I guess that means that now we have 3 P's in a pod. Okay. Sorry. Let's talk about my New Year's theme. You know, we've been talking about New Year's themes for a long time now, for years. And we talked about some last week about the advantage of having a New Year's theme versus a New Year's resolution. Basically, New Year's resolutions, if you look at the statistics of them, they just don't add up. They just don't really work. Now, I'm sure they work for some people, but it appears, according to statistics anyway, and you don't have to search long, to find that New Year's resolutions don't work for the majority of people. And if we're here to live a happier life, then we need to find something that's going to work. New Year's resolutions, they never really worked for me. And then I came across this whole idea of a New Year's theme. Now, if you haven't listened to last week's podcast, I would highly recommend going back and checking that out, because we talk about all the advantages to having a New Year's theme over having a New Year's resolution. With the stats the way they are, I'm befuddled. Is that the good word? I'm confused as to why people still continue to do New Year's resolutions. I mean, I set some for this year, and since I was going to break them anyway, I stopped procrastinating. My first one was to stop procrastinating, so I just broke all my resolutions in the first week of January, because you're going to do it anyway. You might as well just break them. Like I said, it's just... Statistics will say, and even not, if it wasn't statistics, it would be my life and a lot of people I've talked to, New Year's resolutions just don't seem to last longer than January, let alone make it very far into February. So I'm kind of confused as to why people continue to do them. Maybe it's because it's how we've always done it before. Anyway, listen to last week's podcast. We talk more about it there. This time I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to share what my New Year's theme is this year. And I also want to talk about what we mentioned last week. We talked more on about adapting, monitoring, and adapting. So let's talk about my theme this year. You can use a theme, you can use a phrase, you can use a thought, you can even use an image, or maybe even a movie clip or an action or something in your head. It's kind of limitless. I mean, whatever causes you to think about what kind of year you want to have, that's what the theme represents. It represents the kind of year you want to have, the kind of person you want to become this next year, you want to become better at. We talked about that over Christmas, and we spent hours with my family before we even opened up presents. Of course, all my boys are grown up now, or older, so it's not like we had a bunch of, younger kids in there, except for me, mentally. But it turned into, we talked a lot about what kind of people we wanted to become, and I think it's important to talk about that, because we've mentioned it over the last several weeks. If you let it happen, it won't happen. We have to make it happen. We have to plan for it to happen. And that's what a New Year's theme does. It's also what a New Year's resolution does, or tries to do. It's the purpose of a New Year's resolution, to get us to the end of that goal that we want to accomplish for the year. And I know it goes against what a lot of people say, And most of those people that say that are the ones that tend to support the idea of the New Year's resolutions. But for me, the New Year's theme has worked tremendously, and I'm excited about this theme. When we were talking at Christmas time about what kind of people we want to become, and we're sharing it with each other in the family, and I think it's very important that we talk about it. Talking about it causes us to think about it. When we talk about it with somebody else, and it kind of holds us a little bit more accountable, I guess, but it, you kind of hear it. And when you kind of hear it, you kind of vision it, you kind of see it a little bit. And as we were talking about, I've never had a theme, I don't think anyway, this quickly. And my theme for this year is, here it is, ready? Are you positive? That was my P. I got a P. And it was positive. At least that's what I want. I want to have that P. I want to be more positive. And so that's the thing I told my family. I said, I've noticed that I tend to judge people, or I tend to get negative. I tend to react in ways quicker than I want to react in negative ways in life situations and stuff. I got to the point where I said, I want to become a more positive person. I also want to lose some weight. When I said that, one of my boys, I loved how they replied back. They said, why? And it shocked me a little bit. Like, what do you mean, why? Because I want to lose weight. No, that's a great question to ask. And I told him, I said, because I just want to get healthier. I want to get healthier for you guys. I want to be around as long as I possibly can. I want to get healthier. I put on some pounds, and I don't like how it's made me feel. I don't like how my clothes fit, or I should say don't fit. I just want to get healthier. And my son was like, that's good, Dad. I'm like, yeah, that is a good answer. I felt pretty good about that. But are you positive also goes, it's twofold. Are you positive? It's a theme that I'm going to ask myself on the regular. Am I being negative right now? Am I being positive right now? Like when I'm driving, let's say, and I get angry at somebody for how they were driving in front of me, or something doesn't happen correctly, or my team doesn't make it past the playoffs, or doesn't win the game I want them to win, or there's so many things that could happen there. Well, when I get that theme ingrained in my mind by setting up reminders all over the place, phone alarms that will go off, and the phone alarm will be named, "Are you positive?" My screensaver. We talked about it last week, so I won't go into it now, but there's so many ways to remind ourselves. We remind ourselves so that we can continue to see that theme, to hear that theme, to think on that theme, so that when, for me personally in my theme, when I start to get negative, those words are going to pop in my head. Are you positive? And then when it comes to weight, it's almost like flipping it there. When it comes to me, am I positive in pounds? I don't want to be positive in pounds. So am I positive? Have I put on pounds? So it's a two-way theme. Are you positive? Are you putting on pounds, or are you taking off the pounds? And then secondly, are you positive? Not are you sure, but are you positive? You have a positive mentality, a positive frame of mind right now. Because I think when you have a positive frame of mind, you accomplish much more. You feel much better. It's like living a happy life. We're our best selves when we're happy. It goes right along with positive. Being positive is the same thing. When you're positive about something, you just feel better about that thing. And it helps us to live a happier, a better, a more productive life, a more enjoyable life, a more exciting life. In my opinion, that's why I'm super excited about Are You Positive? And that was my P. And that's what I had. I got a P. But then as I started thinking about it, over the next week or so, it just dawned on me. I said, I was getting judgmental on something. And I went, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. I don't want to be judgmental anymore. I don't want to be negative on people. I want to be more positive. I want to be more patient. We're just going to be patient. And I'm kind of a wordsmith kind of a guy. I like alliteration, or words that start with the same letter, right? And I'm like, oh, positive and patient. I want to be patient with people. I'm going to add that in there. I'm going to be, are you positive? Are you patient? And then a third one came to me, like right away. Everything just happened naturally. Like I said, I think the themes, the thoughts, the ideas, the New Year's concepts of the kind of life we want to be, the kind of person we want to be, it's already inside of us. It's already in there. It just needs to be pulled out. And that's what happened. Are You Positive came real fast. And then Are You Patient came soon after that. And then Are You Pleased came immediately after that. It just came to me. It was like it was already there. It was just discovered when I started to dig in the ground a little bit, because I saw some gold there with Are You Positive. I found Are You Patient? And then right underneath that, I found Pleased. I want to be pleased. I want to ask myself the question on the regular. Am I pleased? Am I happy with where I'm at right now? Because no matter who I want to become, where I want to get to, I want to enjoy this right now. We keep thinking I can't be happy until I get to that place. Well, I think that's a misnomer. I think that's bad thinking. I can be pleased with that where I'm at right now. And truth is, if I'm pleased where I'm at right now, the odds of me accomplishing my theme and my idea, my goals, the odds are much higher when I'm pleased with who I am right now. And I think sometimes when we're looking at New Year's resolutions, we're looking at who we're not. And even with New Year's themes, we can look at who we're not. But I think we have to be pleased with who we are. It's good to look at the things that I want to improve about myself, but not if it's at the expense of me not seeing anything else that I'm good at. I think for me to change, it helps for me to realize that here are some things that I'm pleased with about myself. So, am I pleased? That's my New Year's theme this year, and I'm sticking to it. I'm excited for this theme. I've already got the screensaver saved on my computer, and I'll use that for the picture for the podcast pick. So that's it. I got a P, and then it turned into 3 Ps. Are you positive? Are you patient? Are you pleased? And I think that's going to get me through this new year well. And as I was going over even older themes that I've had over the last several years, some of them have just really come about in the last year or so. I mean, it didn't happen in that 1 year. It happened a year or two later, which I think is really cool because that theme kept on going. When you focus on something for an entire year, it becomes part of who you are, and things begin to happen. Some things only happen over time. So I just, obviously, if you haven't figured that out by now, I love the idea of the New Year's theme, the New Year's idea, the New Year's concept, phrase, song, image, whatever. It's unique for every one of us. And once again, I want to make myself available for those of you that would like help in coming up with your theme. If you're stuck on a theme, whatever, just you can email us at podcast@happylife.studio. By the way, I apologize. I just found out this week that I've been saying it wrong. The email I had was info@happylife.studio. But now I have podcasts at Happy Life Studio. It does work now. So for all of those of you that have tried to email me, and please email me. I love when you email me. Even if you tell me, what you think about the podcast, good or bad. I love to get some feedback. We're doing this thing together, right? And so I love it when you email me. So now you can email me. If you've tried email me at podcast@happylife.studio and it didn't go through, I apologize, but it works now, supposedly. Fingers crossed. I've been told it works, and I did a test and it worked for me anyway. So if you would like some help, I will do it for, it's normally a $500 deal that we would do, but I'm really good at brainstorming. I'm really good at creativity. I've been doing this kind of a thing for decades now. So for $100 to be the best $100 that you're going to invest this year, in my opinion, or it's going to be a very important $100 that you invest. When you can come up with this theme, it'll change your life. I'm just telling you, these New Year themes, if we do them right, they change our life. If we do them right, they'll change our lives. You can also leave a voicemail at our Yo Stevo hotline, 425-200-HAZE, 425-200-4297. But if you do it right, it'll change your life. I mean, that works either way. Whether we're New Year's theme or New Year's resolution, we have to adapt. We're going to have to monitor where we're at, and we're going to have to adapt for this thing to work. The difference is this. If we're trying to live out a New Year's resolution, that's like trying to, herd cats.
Herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
Anybody can herd cattle. Holding together 10,000 half-wild short hairs, well, that's another thing altogether.
Being a cat herder is probably about the toughest thing I think I've ever done.
I got this one this morning, right here. And if you look at his face, it's just ripped to shreds, you know.
You see the movies, you hear the stories. I'm living a dream. Not everyone can do what we do.
I wouldn't do nothing else.
It ain't an easy job, but when you bring a herd into town and you ain't lost a one of them, ain't a feeling like it in the world.
That was a commercial for EDS, Electronic Data Systems. But I think that's exactly the picture of what happens when we try to live out New Year's resolutions for so many of us, if not for most of us, at least according to statistics out there. And maybe there's some positive statistics out there about New Year's resolutions. I would love if you sent me those. If you know of some, please email them or send them to me. I would love to know that they're there. I just haven't found them myself. But this is a great picture of trying to live out a New Year's resolution. That's why a lot of us quit by the time it's February. It's like herding cats. In that commercial, they said several things that I fits in perfectly. At the end of the commercial, in type, and it said something along the lines of, this is kind of like what we do. That's my sentiment about this is kind of what it's like to make New Year's resolutions and follow through and try to adapt for your New Year's resolutions. It's like herding cats. Like he said, herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy. Every time we talk about herding cats, we could just throw in New Year's resolutions. Because it's the same thing. New Year's resolution is like trying to herd cats. New Year's resolutions, don't let anybody tell you it's easy. One of the guys in the commercial said, anybody can herd cattle. Right. Anybody can do New Year's themes. But New Year's resolutions, not just anybody can do them. Most of us fail and don't even make it through January. And then the guy said in the commercial, being a cat herder is probably about the toughest thing I think I've ever done. And that's how I feel about New Year's resolutions. It's difficult. It is a very difficult thing to do. Maybe about the toughest thing I think I've ever done. The other person said, not everyone can do what we do. Not everyone can do New Year's resolutions. They do work for some, but not everyone can do them. And then the one guy said, I wouldn't do anything else. And here's the line at the very end that I think just wraps all this up, because I think this is the reason why people continue to do New Year's resolutions even when they don't work for so many people. I think it's what this guy said at the end of the commercial when he said, it ain't an easy job. But when you bring a herd into town and you ain't lost a one of them, ain't a feeling like it in the world. And that's the truth. When your New Year's resolutions get met, especially when all of them get met, there's no feeling like that in the world. It is an amazing feeling, no doubt about it. So we have to monitor and adapt if we're going to accomplish our New Year's resolutions or our New Year's themes. It's like the thing I got from Mojo Studios just this morning. It fits in perfectly here. It's like a math equation kind of. Basically what it says is reflection plus correction when it's on an infinity loop, when it's repeated. Reflection plus correction equals perfection. In other words, when we reflect and correct, and we do that regularly, we get more towards perfection. And then he said, note, this process is not always comfortable, but it is always profitable. So good. He's so smart. Thanks, Mojo. But monitoring and adapting a New Year's resolution is like trying to herd cats. Where monitoring and adapting when it comes to New Year's themes, it's more like Whoopee Ti-Yi-Yo, get along. Punching cattle? That's a term, punching cattle. Did you ever see the movie Blazing Saddles? There's only one scene in that whole movie that I remember. It was in the trailer. And when this guy, he just went up and he punched his horse in the face, and the horse... It was so funny. Well, that's what I think of when I think of punching cattle, right? But punching cattle is what cowboys did. And this is how that term punching cattle came about. In the earlier days of cattle drives, cattle they're big animals, right? And when they don't want to go somewhere, how do you get them to go anywhere? They just weren't too excited about going into the chutes or the boxcars or the pens or whatever the cowboys are trying to get him into. So the cowboys poked or quote unquote punched the cattle with a long pole to get them into the cars. They didn't punch them in the face like in Blazing Saddles, but they punched him with a long pole. That's where the term came about, punching cattle. And I like that concept too, in the same way that New Year's resolutions are a lot like herding cats. New Year's themes is like punching cattle. They don't want to go where you want to go. There's going to be a lot of me that's going to fight against being positive. It's just easier to be negative. It's just easier to judge people than it is to be patient. Patience is a virtue. It's not easy to accomplish. I want patience and I want it now. There's going to be a lot of time throughout the year when that New Year's theme, like cattle, isn't going to want to go where I want it to go. And that's when I have to punch it. That's when I have to prod it. That's when I have to push it in the direction. I have to nudge it in the direction. Because once you nudge the cattle, they all start to go together. And when we start, when I start working on being positive, guess what? I think being patient is going to follow. When I start focusing on being pleased with my life, I think that the positive is going to follow. That's why I think punching cattle, herding cattle, right? Like he said in the commercial, right? Anybody can herd cattle. Yes, exactly. Anybody can do a New Year's theme because it's simpler. The pressure is off for the most part. It's just simply, here's the kind of person I want to become. Here's the image. Here's the thought. Here's the phrase that I'm going to focus on this year. And I'm going to focus on this enough that it's going to head where I want it to head. So get along, little doggies. Get along. Yep. Thanks for listening. I hope that helps. Whether you decide to go with New Year's resolution or New Year's themes, or you have another plan, I hope your New Year's is a fantastic New Year's because you're fantastic. I hope your New Year's, this 2025, is awesome because you're awesome. I hope this next year is going to be amazing because you're amazing. We need you.
Make someone happy. Make just someone happy, and you will be happy too.
There's your 3 Ps all in one podcast. Your 3 Ps in a pod, brought to you by Happy Life Studios. Now what's wrong with me? Steve, you need help. Remember, life is far from perfect, but that doesn't mean we can't be happy.
Steve Ace.
We just have to punch some cattle.